Hey everyone, it's Dave again here with another full armor gaming video, and today I want to continue in my D&D for Dummies series that I've been running, and today we want to talk about attack rolls. So we've discussed saving throws, we've discussed skill checks, we've kind of broke down your character sheet, a whole bunch of different things like that. Today we want to talk about attack rolls because that's honestly probably the thing that new players get kind of confused on the most. So what do I mean when I'm saying attack rolls? When you decide that I want to do some sort of aggressive move towards enemies in D&D, the first thing you need to do is do an attack roll. An attack roll is to find out, does my attack even land on them? Do I hit the target that I am aiming at, that I'm trying to hit? And then, if that is a success, then we get to determine how much damage does that actually do. So let's break down real quick what all goes into figuring out the attack roll. First things first, your weapon is the big thing. And we'll talk about spells here kind of at the end. Your weapon makes a big difference as to what you can do based on your character. There's really two types. There's strength-based and finesse-based weapons. So they're kind of exactly what you think. Like if I'm going to carry a big, huge two-handed greatsword, I'm going to need a good amount of strength and size to wield that sword. Whereas finesse is something where it's like I don't need to be super strong. It's more about where do I put it. So like a rapier, daggers can be finesse. Some bows are considered finesse. That's a long story, but a lot of that kind of stuff. A lot of times range weapons are considered finesse as well. The reason for that is because we don't want to lock people into having to build a certain way to be effective as a character in the game. If it's like, I don't want to play a meathead, I don't want to play someone that's super strong. It's like, okay, cool, but I really want to like get in combat and do a lot of damage and strike people with my blows and all that kind of stuff. It's like, cool, then we've got the weapon for you. It's going to be based off your dexterity, not off your strength. So, you might still be weaker if they try to grapple you or they, that kind of stuff, depending on what kind of homebrew rules you guys have at home. But the way that we figure out, what is your attack roll modifier? The way that we figure that out is we're going to figure out the modifier for the ability that you're using for that weapon. So if you're using a longsword, it will be strength. So we're going to take what your strength modifier is. So let's say you have 16 points in strength. That's going to be a +3. So you're going to take your +3. Then we got to know, are you proficient in this weapon or not? So like I'm very good with longswords. I'm not so good with chairs in a bar. Okay, if you get into a bar fight and you decide to hit someone with a chair as opposed to your longsword, that's probably a better option to not get yourself thrown into, a jail. But if you pull out your longsword, it would be your strength modifier plus your proficiency bonus, and that would determine your attack roll, barring you not having like a magical weapon that gives you extra. But the way that you figure it out is you take whatever the ability modifier for said weapon, and do you get a proficiency bonus or not? Add those together, that's your attack roll. So that's the number you are going to add to the D20 whenever the DM asks you to make an attack roll against a certain individual that you want to attack. You will take that combined total and you will compare that to the other person's AC. And I don't know if we've talked about AC or not, but I do want to hit on that subject later on in another video, so we'll cover that in more detail there. But so if you tie their AC, it's considered a hit. Tie or above. That's how you determine, okay, cool, my longsword, hit that guy. Cool. Now we're going to roll for damage. And there's more that goes into that based on the weapon. There's multiple different weapon types. But when it comes to the attack roll, that's the big way we figure it out. We take your modifier with your proficiency bonus if you are proficient in it. All right, so let's move to the next step. So let's go to spells. Spells is going to be essentially the exact same. It's just going to be based off your spell attack modifier. So you will take whatever your ability for your spell casting is, whether you cast through intelligence, like a wizard or an artificer, or do you cast through wisdom, like a cleric or a druid, or are you casting spells through your charisma, like a warlock or a sorcerer? Whatever it is, you're going to take that modifier. So my charisma modifier, if I have an 18, it's a +4. So I will have +4 plus my proficiency bonus. So if it's a +3, then I have a +7 when I roll to see if one of my spells hit. Normally with spells, the only time you have to roll is if it's going to hit a single target. Like I'm shooting at one person. I'm shooting at a defined spot. Normally that's the only time that you have to roll for an attack rolls. Not always, but there's always exceptions to every rule. So spells and weapons function very much the same way. Just the only difference is with spells, sometimes you don't have to roll to attack. Sometimes they just hit. And that's the beauty of spells. You do have spell slots, so you can only do it so many times a day. But a lot of times it's guaranteed damage, which is great, having guaranteed damage. So we've hit our target. We've rolled our attack modifier against their AC, and we have beat their AC. What comes next? The next part is going to be figuring out what damage dice do you get to roll to see how much damage you do. Most weapons, it's going to be a set number. Great swords, it's 2d6. Great axe, it's 1d12. Short swords are 1d6. Longbows, I think, are 1d8. Man, I never use longbows. But short bows are also 1d6. But every once in a while, you will get something that says versatile. If it says versatile, that means it has the capability of being wielded by just one hand or two. So you'll see it will have like a 1d8 or a 1d10. In order to do that, it would be like, hey, I'm using a shield and a long sword. Okay, it would be the 1d8. If you opt to drop your shield to lower your AC, you could then wield it with a 1d10 damage. That's what versatile means. The last thing that we then want to hit on is the last thing is range. So when it comes to ranged attacks, off to the side of some weapons, you're going to see where it says like a thrown option, and then there's going to be two sets of numbers. There'll be a number, a dash or slash, and another number. What that is saying is that first number is how far you can throw or shoot that item or that weapon before you are then imposed disadvantage on the attack. The second number is the maximum number of range that you can reach. So like a longbow, it's a huge number. Like pretty much just about anywhere on the map you can hit with a longbow. But after so many feet, you shoot at disadvantage. Now, there are feats in the game that you can get that will kind of get rid of that option. So, that's always something fun to look at as how you want to build your character. But that was the big thing that we are really wanting to hit on when it comes to the attack action or the attack rolls that we do during combat. Certain classes are going to get a feature that is called extra attack. So that would mean on your turn, if you choose to take the attack action, you get to attack twice. It is not the ability to attack and then do something else on your action. It's choosing to use your action to fill it with two attacks. And a lot of tables play it a little bit differently. Some people play, you can split up your attack action on two different targets. Some people play, it's like, no, I'm going to take my attack action on this target. I'm going to use both attacks on it. If it dies after the first, then it was a waste. It depends on how people play it. But as always, like and subscribe if this was helpful to you, if this explained anything that kind of helps um, get you further down the step of getting to play D&D. And also let me know what other things you would like to learn more about. I think the next thing that we are going to really try to hit on is spells, and that's going to be a bigger one because spells is a really big part of the game. So I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.